Peaky Blinders is an incredible show which aired its last series on the BBC around a year ago now. I don't think it was too long after an immersive show known as Peaky Blinders The Rise started up in Birmingham and has since moved to Camden Market in London, which is going to move again sometime in May. Last week, on Friday the 21st of April, channel regular Ben and I went along to find out what Peaky Blinders The Rise was all about. So as I said, the show was at Camden Market. Ben and I had to join the queue at 7:15 in the evening. So we got the train into London at about 2:30, which got us into Camden for around 4 o'clock. So we had a few hours to kill. Now, we were quite excited. We're both very big Peaky Blinders fans. But also, we were surrounded by London pubs. So with a few hours to kill, we went to those London pubs. We settled on one place, which was only a 10-minute walk from where we had to be. So we were quite relaxed, we were quite excited, and then...
Is it the front or the back? You're recording me right now, aren't you? He's recording me at the back of the phone. He is.
It's not, it's the front of the phone.
No, it's not. It's the back of the... Right.
The front
That is the front of the phone.
That is the back of
No, it's
the
not
phone.
the front of the...
And
That is... right.
turn the phone around. So
That's the back.
and that's the front.
Sorry, when you access your phone...
Anybody who's accessing their phone, please tell me and Ben what is the front and what is the back of a phone.
When you go... Let's
Because
bring it back to
this
basics.
is obviously a debate that we need to have it out at.
Shut up. When you look at your phone, you don't go like this, do you? And they go, oh no. So the screen is the front. Shut the fuck up. Right, that's the front of the phone, okay? That's the back.
Somehow, the time had gotten away from us, and it was time to head down to Camden Market. So we finished our drinks, left the debating table, and started our walk down. When we got there, we were met by 2 queues and a wagon that read Peaky Blinders The Rise. We knew we were in the right place. After getting our tickets scanned and joining the queue, we were let in after 5-10 minutes. Now, unfortunately, there was no photography or filming allowed once you'd entered the show. So I'm unable to show you what was in store. So I'm going to try and describe it the best I can. As the doors opened, us, the audience, were met by Alfie Solomons, who was asking people what their occupation was.
I'm
Abby
Heath. Profession?
Baker.
Good night.
Of course, we were all bakers. Now, as we entered, there was a large room which was divided into maybe 6-7 different rooms with a long corridor space down the middle. And this was all a mixture of the garrison, which was the bar, Tommy's office, Michael's office, the betting shop, basically different sets from Peaky Blinders. And it did look quite good. The atmosphere was quite gloomy. It did actually feel like we were in the 1920s, which was very nice. So first impressions were very good. Now we were all sort of encouraged to go to the bar and buy overpriced drinks. We were met by Arthur, who again encouraged us to buy these overpriced drinks.
I've done it all. Hey, listen. Let me get your lights. There you go, my darling.
After in the bar, we were all sort of, I don't want to say pushed out, but we were all sort of navigated to the centre with this sort of corridor, where other members of the performance, all the other characters, Polly, Ada, Esme, John, Michael, they all came out and they all done sort of little bits. And what was quite nice, because there was quite a lot of people sort of in this space, and all the characters were scattered around. So no matter where you were standing, you were able to be a part of the story. You could still hear what was going on. Now that was sort of a positive and a negative, and I'll get to why in a second. Where Ben and I were standing, we were closest to Michael, so we managed to hear most of the storyline from him. Now the only negative was we were standing quite close to Polly. Now, whoever was playing Polly was absolutely brilliant. I think Polly was probably one of the best parts of the show. The actress had got sort of Helen McCrory's mannerisms and how she portrayed Polly on screen down to a T. She was great. But that made it quite overpowering. So we're trying to listen to the actor who's playing Michael, but all we could hear was Aunt Pol sort of doing her bit, maybe about a few yards away from us. There was quite a lot of moving around, which I liked. As we were closest to Michael, we were beckoned sort of into his office, and there was a little bit in there about sort of the money that Shelby Company Limited made and stuff about that. I think it was that point as well where they were handing out sort of pound notes. Obviously not real currency. It was sort of in-show currency, which we could use to sort of place bets and stuff like that. After Michael's bit, we were taken back out into the main strip of this room, where Tommy entered. Now, of course, Tommy had a big entrance, and everyone was standing there. But then Tommy made his entrance, went up onto a gantry and done his little section with Aunt Pol. So that was quite nice. It was basically explaining some of the plot of Series 2, where Shelby Company Limited are. So Tommy done his little section, he came down, and then we sort of all moved on to another room. So after a little section, I believe Tommy goes off, and a group of us have got taken outside and around to another entrance of the building, and we've entered Sabini's club. We get taken to a table and sat down, and then there's a woman singing on stage, and Sabini comes out and then has a speech. And obviously there's a bar there, and you're encouraged to go up and buy more drinks. But Sabini gives a speech, it involves all of us audience. Now after Sabini's speech, this is where it starts to feel a little bit chaotic. So obviously we're in a smaller group, separated from the main group. I believe the main group probably got separated as well from different actors. It made sense. But we're sitting at this table in Sabini's club, and we're wondering, what sort of goes, what happens now? We sort of feel like we've been left. And there's people walking through another door to another part. So Ben and I decide to go in the next room. But we don't know if we're supposed to be going there yet. But we go through anyway. But Aunt Pol is standing there with a group of people. So we think, okay, we'll just join this group. Before too long, the room is filled with the whole party, all the other members of the audience, with all the other characters emerging. So obviously we were supposed to end up there. This was the final confrontation between Sabini and the Shelbys. There was a sort of stage right in the centre. Everyone was sort of gathered around. So there was a little bit of a performance. There was sort of Tommy and Sabini on stage, and other members of the Shelby family sort of scattered around the room. So that was quite good. It was quite nice sort of just to stand and watch and see what was going on. And this turned into a boxing match between Arthur and Sabini. And this was another opportunity for us to put our bets in. Oh yeah, there was a little bit earlier on where we went into the betting shop and you could place a bet on a horse. I forgot to mention that, so I apologise. Between the boxing match between Arthur and Sabini himself, this is where the story differs from the TV series. Of course, Arthur won, as, it's quite predictable, of course he would. And Sabini was sort of dragged off, all bleeding and everything. So that was that. Arthur won, and then apparently that was the end. I mean, other characters turned up. I think Lizzie popped in for a bit, and then Grace, who we hadn't seen at the beginning, but she sort of popped up for 2 minutes at the end. So it almost felt like the story was abruptly cut. Like it stopped, and all of a sudden all these characters were coming in at the end. It didn't really feel much like an ending, to be honest. I'd say in story terms, obviously they were limited with what they could do, considering they'd set it in such a close period of each other with the second series of Peaky Blinders, but there was no sort of build-up in story. It just felt very flat across the whole thing. Now, I don't know if that was because I knew what was sort of coming, because obviously I know what happens in the second series of Peaky Blinders, or if they were just sort of limited with what they could do. And it ended with all the Shelby sort of standing up on stage, having some little interaction with each other, and then having a bit of a sing-song to a couple of Arctic Monkeys songs. So, Arctic Monkeys, I'm not going to complain. And then when we left, we had recorded our first thoughts. So this is basically what we thought coming straight out.
Okay, so we've just done the Peaky Blinders The Rise experience, and it was quite chaotic, I think is the words that I would use sort of first off.
I think I said that to you during the thing. It was very chaotic, very chaotic. It was fun, but the problem is you got multiple storylines going on at once.
Yeah.
And there's no soundproof. That you're literally right next door to the other bloody thing that's going on.
Yeah, the other storyline
exactly.
that's the other actors are sort of doing. Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite hard to. You couldn't really. It was honestly hard to hear what was going on in your own storyline.
There were some points as well where we didn't really know what was going on.
I still don't know what's going on.
We were sort of. We thought, should we go this way? Should we go that way? You know, are we supposed to stay where we are?
It was very disorganised.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun, but it really dragged out. The actors did a good job. Aunt Pol was the best bit, actually. She was
definitely
brilliant.
Yeah.
Because Helen McCrory is a hard act to follow, but I thought the actress that played Polly was really good.
So out of 10, what would you give it?
Oh, God, I've just been there. I'd give it a 5.
A 5? Yeah, I think 5's fair. I mean, yeah, average, quite chaotic. I think 5's quite fair sort of score. So I'm going to give it a 5 as well.
Yeah.
And this is initial thoughts. We've literally just come out.
Yeah.
Today, the day of recording this video, it's been around a week since we went to the experience. So I've had time to reflect, and after sort of thinking about what happened, my score's going to go up. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. The actors were incredible. Alfie Solomons and Aunt Pol were the two stands out. I think the actors who play those parts really capture what Tom Hardy and Helen McCrory bring to the characters on screen. They were superb. The whole setting as well, the sets are really well done, and you are really made to feel like you've travelled back to the 1920s. Plus, the little currency system they have, when the different characters are handing you different currencies at various points, it's a really great way to feel engaged and to immerse the whole audience into what's going on, which is what you want from an immersive experience. The only things that do let it down, however, is the storyline. It does feel quite flat. Obviously, they were limited with what they could do as they've based it on the second series of Peaky Blinders. But it just feels like it suddenly ends, which is a little bit of a shame. And of course, the amount of people they cram into for each show, the amount of audience members, does make it feel quite chaotic at times. So I think if they reduce the audience ever so slightly, then I think everyone would just have a better time all around. So that's why it loses those points, but 7 out of 10 is what I'm going to give it now. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, feel free to subscribe for similar content. If there was a particular video or section of the video you liked, let me know by liking or commenting on the video. Your likes and comments could influence the next topic I talk about. Thanks for watching.